Early this morning, aboard the USS George Washington at Yokosuka Naval Base in Japan, Donald addressed thousands of U.S. service members. What was billed as a military speech quickly took on the familiar tone of his campaign rallies, where he mixes personal asides and off script ramblings with stark and deeply disturbing warnings about how he might unconstitutionally wield U.S. military power, but mostly it was just weird, off putting, and ultimately alarming. For instance, as far as the weird and kind of disturbing part goes, he kicked things off by showcasing some of his signature so called dance moves, although I'm not entirely sure that these were dance moves. We know that recently Donald had an MRI followed by some cognitive assessments, which is typically the protocol when somebody is believed to have had a stroke. But no, I'm being told that those were, in fact, dance moves, which I guess redefines the term. Then the world's most famous draft dodger, remember, he deferred the draft 5 times during Vietnam, delivered a line that even for him was completely beyond the pale. Take a look.
Thank you very much. A big hello. This is a special group of patriots, champions, winners. You are winners. Oh, I'd love to have your job. I'd love to have your job.
Wow, that's amazing. He actually had 5 chances to have that job, but he again deferred. Next, Donald spoke inexplicably to military members in Japan, United States members of the military in Japan, about car manufacturing in the United States. Not really the most relevant topic for the situation. Take a look.
Going to be putting auto plants all over the United States to the tune of over $10 billion. So that's Toyota. So go out and buy a Toyota.
That's right. Not only are we making Argentina great again by throwing tens of billions of dollars at that country to help out one of Donald's allies, but apparently we're also supposed to be making Japanese automakers great again, too. He continued to mistake this speech in front of the troops for a campaign rally. Here he is blatantly lying about inflation and, of course, insulting Jerome Powell, one of his favorite hobbies. Let's watch.
Back home, we had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Energy costs are down. You know, energy costs are way down. Gasoline prices are way down. Grocery prices are way down. We have a little problem with beef. We're going to get that down very quickly, but the prices are way down. Mortgage rates are down despite having an incompetent head of the Fed. I call him too late. He's always too late. He's too late in lowering interest rates. I call him Jerome Too Late Powell.
Oh, the cleverness. My goodness, it just makes me wonder why anybody listens to him. Anyway, none of that's true. I mean, it's true that he calls Jerome Powell Jerome Too Late Powell, but the rest of it's not true. You know what's down? Like really down? Yeah, Donald's poll numbers. Next, here he is rambling about the Gulf of Mexico and the election. Which one, you say? Is it the 2024 election, the 2020 election, the 2016 election? And by the 1816 election, my goodness, this man cannot let anything go. And like I said, it was pretty weird. Take a look.
Gulf to what is now known as the Gulf of America. Isn't it nice? They say it now routinely. I heard the news today. The Gulf of America, weather is wonderful. They don't say it with a smile. It's called the Gulf of America. How did that happen, right? And it took me, for many years I said, why is it called the Gulf of Mexico when we seem to have the shore? Well, we do. We have 92% of the shoreline. So I said, when we make it back, not if, when, too big to rig. We made it too big to rig. I said, get out and vote, too big to rig. Make it that way. I said, I'm going to change it. And one of the first things I did is I changed it. Nobody could even fight it. They tried. We got sued all over the place. We won every suit. And it's now officially the Gulf of America. Isn't that nice?
Riveting stuff from your commander-in-chief. Again, it is so wonderful that Donald continues to have his fingers on the pulse of what really matters to our troops in uniform. And then he talked to them about the economy, but not the United States economy. No. Why would they care about that? None of them is getting paid right now anyway, thanks to Donald's shutdown. It was instead the economy of some fictional nation that exists only in Donald's broken brain. The description contains some very big numbers, which I have to say is impressive because I did not know he could count that high. Watch this.
The greatest economy in the history of the world. We had an economy like nobody has seen before. Now we're doing it again, but this time actually it's going to be much bigger, much stronger. I told you $17 trillion, but it's going to be $21 trillion. And that's numbers that have never been heard of before. Much bigger than any other country in the world by literally $16 trillion. It's amazing.
That is amazing, which is to say incredible, which is to say unbelievable, which is to say fictional. He just keeps adding numbers. It's like his ballroom. Remember, that was supposed to cost 200 million, then 250, then 300. Now it's up to $350 million. So just like his fictional country, the ballroom keeps getting more and more valuable. But then, because this is Donald we're talking about, things got a little scary. He talked about his illegal military takeovers of U.S. cities, and it sounds like he has a lot more in store for us, at least those of us in democratic cities. Take a look.
And you know, people don't care. If we send in our military, if we send in our National Guard, if we send in Space Command, they don't care who the hell it is. They just want to be safe. And we have safe cities now. We're starting in Memphis. And Memphis was a disaster. It's been there. They've been there for 2 weeks, and it's a whole different series. Crime is less than half, and within a month it'll be gone. Getting rid of all the bad ones. And we're going to go into Chicago. We're going to go into our cities. We're going to clean them out. We're going to straighten them out. And we're going to have safe cities because you want to protect safe cities. We're going to have beautiful, safe cities, and it's happening very quickly and very easily, actually. It's easy for us. It's hard for them. We're sending in our National Guard, and if we need more than the National Guard, we'll send more than the National Guard because we're going to have safe cities. We're not going to have people killed in our cities. And whether people like that or not, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, whether you like it or not, we are going to defy the Constitution and send armed troops into your cities, even though that's illegal and unconstitutional. But again, that's what makes it so much easier if you've never read the Constitution. The thing, though, I mean, despite the horrifying nature of those comments, it's nothing new. All lies. I really hope that some corporate media outlets make it clear that crime in Memphis is not down by half after 2 weeks of a hostile federal takeover. But none of that is playing well. The people standing in that audience are bored out of their skulls. But before we go on, we cannot let Donald's lies go unchecked. So please like and share this video. And if you believe in our mission, please subscribe to the Mary Trump Media channel. I don't even know how to introduce this next clip, except to, you know what? I'm not even going to try. Enjoy.
From the men and women of the rank and file, that's true. It comes from you people, incredible people, good-looking people, too many good-looking people. I don't like good-looking people. I never liked good-looking people, I'll be honest with you. I've never admitted that before. But see, I'm allowed to, we won at the Supreme Court a thing based on merit. You know about that, right? Merit. Everything now in our country is based on merit, and that's why I look at you and I see nothing but merit.
It actually gets worse from there, but let's start here. Why couldn't everything have been based on merit back in 2016? Because there's no way, if that had been the case, Donald Trump, who has never legitimately won anything in his life, would be in the White House. He is a trust fund baby whose daddy threw hundreds of millions of dollars at him over the course of his childhood and adulthood that he squandered. And then when my grandfather died, he got another $170 million, which he's squandered. The only reason he's able to make money now is because he is grifting off the presidency of the United States. The only way he won in 2016 was because Russia gave him so much help, along with James Comey. Thanks, Jim. So, yes, it would have been awesome to have the system based on merit back in 2016. By the way, it still isn't. I don't know what he's talking about. And then there's that interesting tell about not liking good looking people. I guess maybe he has started actually seeing his true reflection in the mirror. But here's the thing. Donald only ever said two nice things about my dad. And one of them was meant as an insult. He always said my dad was kind. Mm, Not something that you want to be in my family, that's for sure. The other thing he always said about my dad was that he was an incredibly good looking guy. Okay, then. Oh, by the way, he really was. Next, for good measure, Donald spouted some nonsense about Joe Biden and being a pilot. See for yourself.
And see, Biden used to say he was a pilot. He was a pilot. He was a truck driver. Whoever walked in, he wasn't a pilot. Wasn't much of a president either, to be honest with you. That I can tell you. That we all know. But
start with the first part first. Did Biden say he was a pilot? I don't recall. I'm beginning to think that Donald has my dad on his mind. Because again, my dad, and I'm not kidding, legitimately was the best looking person I'd ever known. Also, he was a pilot. He flew 707s for TWA at the dawn of the jet age. But then let's get to the second part of this, which is more important. You are not supposed to give political speeches in front of the military. And shame on anybody in that audience who laughed when Donald said that Biden was not much of a president, because Biden used to be their commander in chief. That's not how any of this is supposed to work. And that's why I keep saying Donald is not our problem anymore. It's people who continue to react to him in ways that legitimize his hideous behavior. Finally, in more remarks addressed to our troops stationed abroad, Donald spread lies about our elections.
You know, we won the second election by a lot, so we had to just prove it by winning the third by too big to rig, I called it. It was too big to rig. And it was an amazing victory. And thank goodness we won, because we were in big trouble. We were in big trouble.
Yes, he's saying that to a crowd of people, soldiers, who aren't getting paid right now because of his shutdown. I'm pretty sure we're in big trouble right now. And the fact that he continues to use our service members as political props, the fact that he continues to revisit elections that he must on some level know were free and fair, except of course for the ones he won, is just a testament to how damaged his psyche is. We're still waiting for military members to weigh in on Donald's rambling, incoherent, babbling, and freakish speech in Japan. But remember, back in September, several service officials weighed in on Donald's address to high-ranking officers in comments to Politico. Their remarks included statements like, quote, could have been an email, unquote, and, quote, total waste of money, unquote. Because remember, it is not at no cost that Donald gets to go to Japan and be flown onto an aircraft carrier to address American service members. That is costing us a fortune at a time when the United States Treasury is basically closed for business. So I would say, how dare he? But why bother? It is the people who continue to allow this to happen who need to be put on notice. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating, because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.